I had some business I had to take care of back in Nagoya, and I had to be gone for several days. Unfortunately, those were key days because most of the Yakisugi siding was put onto the house while I was gone, so I missed the whole experience of watching it come together. But I missed something else really important too, which was my son's first really big snow. We weren't expecting to have snow in November, but there it was, and I guess it must have been 6 or 7 centimeters. I don't know exactly how much there was because I wasn't there, but my son had a great time. And when I did get home, we built snowmen and snow forts, and there was a snow angel and a snowball fight or two to be enjoyed as well. Well, the house is looking pretty good on the outside. That Yakisugi siding really sets it off against the snow. But today, we'll move inside. The builders are working faster than I can possibly keep up with in 5 minutes per week, so I'm gonna have to take a step back this week to talk about electricity. Let me just say that there are some things in houses that you simply assume will magically appear where they appear. Or at least I found myself assuming that. That is, until I met with the electricians. Neil McArdle, our project manager at the beginning of this project, has been down in Aichi Prefecture, which is where Nagoya is, working on a new house for himself. Ironically, we're coming from Aichi and he's going down there at least part-time. Maybe in the future we can carpool back and forth. In the meantime, he's just been working part-time with us, and he's spending most of his time down in Aichi, so we haven't seen much of him since taking on his project. So we were happy to have him back with the electric wiring plan. Neil has built or remodeled several houses, and he knows when we're making mistakes, and that is often enough to consider it normal. So when we started the lighting plan, I delighted in imagining a lighting design that would charm even the best lighting directors I used to work with back in Hollywood. But Neil pointed out 2 problems right away. The first, of course, is that my lighting delusion would cost as much as the house itself. Yeah, that's an exaggeration, but the original design was unaffordable, at least when you consider the accent lighting isn't as important as insulation. So, when building a house, you have to choose wisely. Too many downlights and not enough insulation is not a good combination. Oh, and for Americans watching, I have also learned that downlights are recessed lighting. I had to learn this too. Apparently, these are known as downlights in the whole rest of the world, but kudos to the Americans because while the word downlight seems to contain very little actual description of the unique characteristics of the light, recessed lighting goes to the core of what makes these lights unique. So let me just say that sometimes American English just paints a better picture. Anyway, that digression out of the way. If you're old enough to remember the comedian Stephen Wright, you'll know about the light switch in every house that doesn't seem to do anything. Well, this is the phase in the building where we put that mystery light switch in. But at this point, we don't know which switch will be that one. But I'm certain that one of them is going to be that switch that turns on the light somewhere in Germany. So for now, we're just trying to anticipate as well as possible our behavior living in the house. Where do we expect the light switches to be, and where do we want to plug things in? Turns out that this whole process is more or less a crapshoot because I have no idea what I'm going to want to do once I move into the house. But even if I could just follow around an avatar of my future self on the blueprint, it wouldn't solve all the problems because there are other factors behind the drywall that affect where things can be. For example, in principle, when you walk into a room, you want that light switch right on the wall next to the door. But what if there's no wall there? Only a load-bearing post, for example. Well, that switch is gonna have to move. But what if there's another door in the way, or a window, or a closet, or a sink, or a sliding door frame? Yeah, so you get the picture. Now I know why sometimes when I've stepped into an unfamiliar bathroom or even bedroom, I've had to search all over for a light switch. It isn't because the designer was crazy or the owner had a mean streak, it's because there's a lot going on inside those walls. And frankly, sometimes the US and Japan simply handle electricity differently. I was warned about this going in. Sometimes possible things are impossible in Japan, but equally often, impossible things are possible. For example, I really wanted to wire a Google Nest doorbell into the wiring system of the house. This is because I don't want to charge the stupid Google doorbell every month. Charging a doorbell is not a solution as far as I'm concerned. But in Japan, wiring the Google Nest doorbell is not an option. So, turns out charging your doorbell is the only solution. So we just went from high-tech to low-tech, and we ordered a doorbell. No camera, no smart home connectivity, just a button and a chime. If you can't go high, go low. It's just as well because now Google is going to have to rely on this YouTube channel and my cell phone to track my every move. But aside from that incognito status from not having a Google Bell, and some, shall we say, interesting light switch locations, we have it all pretty set up, I think. As far as I know, nothing's getting too expensive, but in fact, we haven't calculated the budget for a while, so I'll probably talk about that soon. But next week, I hope to tell you a story about insulation, and I hope there's a happy ending.